Jay. As you can see, we have your composition up in the window, so let's go ahead and take a look. Now, one thing I want to do before we get started with the critique of the actual layout and typography is I want to make sure that all of the requirements are met, because it seems like a lot of students are having difficulty interpreting what is required here. So I'm going to go through blow by blow. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, this is my little list right here. And this bullet list is comprised of the elements in this page, week 4, assignment 4, part 1, specifically the information in the first paragraph, introductory paragraph, instructions, objectives, and design requirements. So you can go through that and really go through that and make sure that you have all of the requirements. But I just want to let you know that's where I'm getting my list from. Okay, so the first thing is the object must be dominant, which it is. The second thing is the object must be shown with someone using it or someone interacting with it. And I don't see an image of somebody interacting with. I think that would be as easy as showing somebody driving the car. Next, must show an image which is the result of using the object. So I suppose this would work, showing the car on a maybe a curvy, windy country road or something, or even a straight shot like that. Must show at least 2 components. We've got the wheels and the steering wheel. That's excellent. Must include the headline design in everyday life. Got that. White background only, 7 by 15. Imagery must come in contact with the edge of the page somewhere twice. Got that. Design must combine images that are in boxes as part of the background and cropped individually. So that's cropped individually, and you have it says boxes, but basically that just means that they have some sort of a frame or they're confined to some specific shape. Okay, and then of course, full color, keep your image dominant, and you must use a grid. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the composition itself. So aside just a couple of missing elements, let's go ahead and take a look. So I think that's interesting. That is an interesting shot right there. And I see that you have borrowed the shape of the headlights as the shape for the individual elements. That's pretty interesting. I think that's very interesting. And one thing I would do to reinforce that is, as you can see, the corners are curved here, but here they're squared off. And I think that creates a little bit of confusion in really mimicking the shape of the headlights. So I would round those corners off and really try to get those is conform to that shape as much as possible. Of course, forget that little tapered area. Just kind of round that off like that, like you have done here. But as we see, this shape right here, it mimics the headlights right down through here and through here. Then it comes up here and comes up over like that, just like that shape does. So I think that's a pretty good depiction. My only recommendation here is to round those corners, so that they're more indicative of that shape right there. But that's interesting. That's a really good choice right there. Design in everyday life. So I'm seeing that you're using all caps here, and that's okay, but I just want you to realize that we still have to incorporate the rules of a kerning. And it looks like this is kerned pretty well, but there are some areas specifically that E can come a little bit closer to that V right there. So just really watch your kerning. As far as hierarchy goes, right now your captions are at the same size and in the same face as your body copy. So there's really no logical order of hierarchy here. So theoretically, the headline should be the biggest, then followed by the next largest typeset, which should be the body copy, and then the caption should be smaller than the body copy. And I also recommend placing the captions on an italic, and additionally, maybe just give a little blurb about wheels. So maybe custom alloy wheels included or something like that. I don't know, something like that. Instead of just saying wheels, you see what I'm saying? Just give a little bit more of a descriptive analysis of the contents within those images. Okay, as far as this goes, I think this is typeset pretty well. The rags need adjusting. As we can see right now, we've got some angles in the rag. So this kind of angles in like that, comes out like that, then angles back down. We don't want that. You want to take a look at the videos in week 4. All of these videos, specifically, these are really going to show you how to typeset a lot of different areas. These 3 videos, and then this 4th one is how to complete the assignment, tips and tricks on how to complete this assignment. But a lot of typesetting tips and tutorials are in these videos, and that's going to all be fair game for grading, specifically in this and the next assignments. So you definitely want to make yourself very familiar with things like regs, and you want to adjust those regs. They're not bad at all, but they are employing some things that we don't want to include in regs, and that's these angles. Okay, so if you watch my cursor, this is the angles I'm seeing. Comes in like that, comes out like that, comes back like that. Okay, now, one of the reasons, I would also include some kind of a subhead in here or something naming the car, because right now we just have the car. We don't have, like, you could name just BMW model whatever, 311i or whatever that model is. Do you see what I'm saying? And that would make a little bit more sense, and a nice segue in between the headline and the information in the body copy. Now, the reason this is really important is there's a lot of this stuff is, like I said, is this going to set the stage for success for the rest of the semester. I'm sorry, for the rest of the term in terms of proper typesetting rules and guidelines. All right. So, for example, this RPMs right here, in our course materials, we see that you either want to use small caps in that all cap instead of all caps. Let's see how much bigger that is than the rest of the type, and it stands out like a sore thumb. So you would do one or two things here. You would either use small caps through your open type menu, or you would reduce the type size of those all caps to coincide more consistently with the size of the actual letters. All caps are just making that too big. It stands out like a sore thumb. Other than that, I think you're off to a pretty good start. One thing I would recommend, though, this line right here seems to be creating some sort of a separation. And also, I would remove these boxes from being connected to that underline of the headline and just have them stand on their own so they're not connected like that. You see what I'm saying? And then this second line right here, the underline for the title's okay, but I personally don't use underlines at all in my typography because I think it's a little bit redundant. You should be able to draw emphasis using techniques to create hierarchy, as opposed to having to use an underline to create emphasis. Remember, one of the things in our typographic rules is do not use underlines to create emphasis. So you might rethink that. Now, this line right here seems to be just kind of random. And it's actually creating some separation. It's creating different sections. Okay, so what that's doing is it's kind of insinuating that this is a different section than this, and it's not. These are closely related. So I'm not sure if I agree with placing that rule right there. Okay, so all right, I've given you a little bit to think about. So if you have any questions at all, please let me know, and I'll be glad to make any necessary clarifications. Okay, great start. Thanks, Jay.